thing is telling me we're live. We're live. It is the Kent Beck Scrum. I guess for old time's sake, I'll nip to the meetup group and post the link in there, although I'm not sure if people actually use that. Yes, let's go with me. I'll tell you what I've been doing. What happened? Yes, I had a pairing session with Corey, and we were reviewing sort of the events as live events as first-class citizens, and we kind of turned that into an epic and worked out some sub-stories and so on. So I think hopefully that will help Corey get started. Since then, I have also been working on actually the async bot project, and I've just been creating a load of little stories and pushing them up and so on to try and get things moving along there. I am hoping to now go on and spend some time fixing up on this generic, oh gosh, what's it called? Generic payment plans for nonprofits for the website One. And I've got a pairing session with Event Manager coming up in about a premium one in about an hour and 20 minutes. That is me. Michael, you were in next. How are things going with you?
Good.
Anything to report?
Not really. I've just been. I was in a meeting with you, and I think I helped Matt a little bit, Matthew.
Cool.
Helped get him unblocked, and you helped him get him unblocked on the tweeting feature. So, but other than that, no.
Nope.
And I was just saying to you about Qs and defending them versus our, just straight up RSpec feature tests.
Yeah, indeed, a tiny moment on that. Yeah, the RSpec book that I'm working through, the new one that's coming out, is unlike the previous RSpec book, has no Cucumber in it, and it has worked examples with the acceptance tests entirely in RSpec, which it was also a pattern that we saw at Makers Academy. I've seen people do it both ways, and RSpec has got some features to make acceptance tests kind of nice there. But as I think you were saying, Michael, the Cucumber thing does make the kind of that language a first-class citizen. I do find it kind of easier to extract the high-level intention from a Cucumber or Gherkin format file than I do from an RSpec thing. Maybe we can go around at the end and ask everyone what they think about that. But yeah, let's just go on and quickly check in with Anar. How are things going with you, Anar?
Fine, thank you. Just trying to get on track by picking up one by one the features and course and bugs you have there in local support, and trying to work on them.
Yeah, and you're doing
I'm trying to
great job so far. I'm really you've been merging your things in. You've been starting new ones. Is anything blocking you at all? Any information you need? Anything?
Not at all. But just one thing. This feature that I picked it up this week. I think that it has actually two different features inside one of them. But what do you think? Do you think it's a good idea to split them, or?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that sometimes a perfectly reasonable reaction to a feature or a bug or being too complex is to split it into two points. Maybe we can look at the specific feature at the end of the session and get into it, and I'll help you with making that decision. But yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable thing to do in some situations. But otherwise, if you're okay, great report.
Yeah. I also actually looked through the website One project as well, because as I noticed, the tools you're using they're a little bit different. I'm talking about the process, the management process, and things like that.
Sure. Yes.
Do you think it's okay to join this project as well? I know you're against on focusing many different things at once. Yeah. So, but the idea is that I start researching things long before I actually start doing something.
Yeah. So. Well, and it's pot calling the kettle black. I mean, I think I strongly advocate when you're working on one project, try and stay focused on one feature at a time within that project. But I, do have my fingers in many different projects. So yeah, you as a premium member, you are entitled to be involved in the website One, which is a priority project. But yeah, by all means, please start looking into it. We do things slightly differently across the two projects, so there's a lot to learn. Yeah. So
okay.
Then yeah, it's all good.
What is he?
Other than that, I have nothing to add.
Okay, thanks, Anar. Sorry, Michael, go on.
I was just asking, what does Anar work on regularly? Is that local support? Or?
Local support, yeah. That's what he's been doing for a couple of weeks. Let's check in with Matt. Matt, how are things going with you?
See, good. I chatted with Alex about Redeemify this morning, and he's going to work locally because he had been working on what's it called, C9.
C9, yeah.
9, and it was slightly different there. So I kind of said, well, it'd be good to work locally because it's on the API. Because in order to work together, I think so he's doing that. He's trying to get it so we can run both the app and the API. It's a little confusing how you can figure that because it's like 2 instances. But I think he's on track there. With website 1, unfortunately I'm kind of stuck again. The tweets aren't going out to my account, and I've rechecked my API keys and everything, but there's no error. So I don't know if Michael has a minute, or if not, I'll just fool with it. But you know how Michael, we're doing it. I was getting the tweets on my account. Yeah.
Well, we can maybe get you sorted out at the end of the Scrum, and but so that's a block. That's a block
do and everything. So that I was really pleased by this morning, but you know, now
you've encountered a roadblock again. Yes. Well, let's see if we can get you sorted out at the end. Yes. Thanks for that report, Matt. Let's go on to Sage. Sage, how are things going with you?
Things are going pretty well. My project that I work on, the Wikia dashboard, is starting to sort of pick up steam on a number of different fronts of people contributing. So I've just been mostly responding to pull requests and building on what people have started pushing forward there, and it's sort of going better and better. And some people have solved some things that I wasn't able to solve previously, and helped me out in some great ways. And so it's aside from not doing anything but pull requests lately, it's great.
All right, good stuff. And nothing blocking you at the moment?
Nothing blocking me except for this mean old problem with trying to figure out how this one big piece of nasty JavaScript works.
Right. Indeed. And is that like just it's plain old JavaScript, or it's React and stuff mixed in with it, or?
The thing that I'm trying to unpuzzle here is plain it's jQuery mostly.
Okay. Right.
And it takes a bunch of data about which bits of a Wikipedia article were authored by which person, and then combines that with the actual HTML of the article, and so that you can then like mouse over and see who contributed which bits.
Right.
Which there's like an existing tool that does this as like a browser extension, but I want to adapt that to make it work in my project. And it's just like, thousands of lines of JavaScript that are and like spread across different files, and I'm just trying to piece together what the strategy is to find the useful bits. Indeed.
Yes. Well, and I was pleased to see that Aresh has been contributing to the Wiki dashboard. He's one of our more experienced JavaScript folks. So if you push that towards his way, he might give you some input.
Yeah, he's been able to do some excellent things, like exceeding expectations with his first couple pull requests.
Excellent. Good stuff. Oh, great that you're here to check in. That's our Scrum. I think we've gone around. We've got, I guess there's two things. There's Matt being blocked on that, the Twitter thing. I mean, the thing that immediately occurs to me there, Matt, is that you've got the whole VCR thing in setup. So if the tweets are not appearing on the account, presumably you've already checked for you haven't got a cache there that it's catching it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's what I got. I think you're right.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Well, that was a good one. The simple to solve blocks, they're the ones I love. Anna was just asking there about sort of splitting the feature, which we could just...
We're not doing that.
Yeah. Which so actually one of the things that we for the stuff that Matt was working on, we were looking at all sort of splitting features and bits and pieces. Which was the one? Have you clicked? Is it this one? Admin all users page. This is the one.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, yes. So I think there are these two tasks. These are the two things that you're referring to: hyperlink the orgs and fixing sort by last login.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you could do. I mean, looking at it myself, I mean, it's almost like the hyperlink all orgs is kind of pretty trivial, and this one might be more involved. Be my guest. I think it's certainly, you know, if we're being sort of conservative, you know, it's always the case that, you know, we might not have as much time as we think, or any problem might become more complex than we think. So, you know, if you'd like to split this out into two tasks and work on them separately and do separate pull requests, that's kind of, yeah, you totally have my blessing to do that. It's I think generally a good idea.
One more thing, Sam, to add is that you didn't specify exactly what type of lists you're talking about here, because I've looked through the web page, different categories of users, like registered ones, invited and deleted. I guess all of them are
I wonder if
of interest, right?
Your audio cut out there a little bit. I guess what you're saying, if I can find I think it is the page that we want. Basically, it's part of here. It's the registered users, and basically, it's this page. The key things is here. We've got this organization field for these users, and yeah. So the one thing is just like having these hyperlinked to the actual organization in the system.
Do you think we can extend to other type of like the deleted one, the registered one, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, I guess we've got other different things. Like there's the invited users. I think, like for example, the invited users, they're linked already.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I think it's particularly this page, and I'll just pop that in, that's a flaw on my part. We'll say particularly for this, and it's this issue of the last login here is that we've, you know, it sorts alphabetically when it's using these sort of human-friendly, you know, time ago. So it doesn't actually sort chronologically, so to speak.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts about this actually. Instead of going and trying to figure out in JavaScript itself, we might incorporate the actual timestamp within HTML and make JavaScript that data, but displays normalized for in English.
Yeah, I think that sounds like an excellent idea. Yes, very, very good. So
okay,
yeah.
then yeah, there's.
Does that make that clear? And yeah, I would say, you know, feel free to work on these. You know, I mean, there's sort of, you've got latitude here that because they happen to be on the same tickets, you can work on them in parallel, and you can kind of like keep them to yourself. Or, you know, if you want to pass, you just want to focus on one and say not on the other one, then you can split that one out. And
no, you're right. I think leaving it there, it's okay for me as well, because the first one is straightforward, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, great. Well, I think we've covered all of the blockages there. That gives us, I guess we could just go back to that issue that Michael was raising about sort of having our acceptance tests in RSpec versus Cucumber. And I think it's much of a, you know, it's a sort of a personal choice for each project what they prefer to do. Sage and Matt or Anar, do you have any preferences in terms of whether acceptance tests are in Cucumber or RSpec or other flavor?
I've only done them in RSpec and not. I guess I would say I've never done acceptance tests per se. I mean, I've done like, you know, integration tests using Capybara, but those are more intended to like exercise functionality that like I already know I'm ready to accept, and now I just want to make sure that it doesn't break.
Interesting. Matt, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just curious about where the industry is headed, because I I did an interview and I started talking about Cucumber and they said, "Oh, we don't want to use that." So I wonder if that's the trend, is to do everything in RSpec.
Well, and I think it goes both ways. I mean, I know that I think another friend of mine had a interview recently, and she did the tech test, and she used Cucumber, and they were like, "Oh wow, that was like that." They were like, "Wow, that was we really appreciate that you did." So I think that there are like, you know, there are different camps. There are groups who really like Cucumber, and there are the groups who really like having preferred it in RSpec. Whether there's an overall trend in the industry, that would be a you know, we should do a survey of all of the different companies to try and find out.
I find it a little hard to use two different tools to, you know.
Oh, you mean to switch from Cucumber to RSpec?
Personally, yeah, or knowing which one to use. And now I'm doing Cucumber, so I want to do everything Cucumber.
Indeed. Anar, any thoughts on the Cucumber versus RSpec for our acceptance tests?
Yes, I really like Cucumber, but I think the reason people might not adopt it is that because it's trying to cover both domains, like the technical one for the developers and the domain of the project managers or the user-facing domain. Maybe if it's not used correctly, it's not, because it is stressed a lot in the documentation and in the books about Cucumber, is that you need to develop a user-friendly domain language with Cucumber when you do acceptance tests. And for me, myself personally, I fail to do that. I mean, I know you start and you build on top of that, and not everything really looks like the domain language the Cucumber was intended for. This is my personal thoughts. I mean, I might be wrong, but I think exactly this type of failure to cover both domains, people maybe move away from Cucumber to RSpec, back to RSpec, because RSpec is really more you know, coding style, not language definition, not the domain language style.
Yeah, good. I think you're right. Good point. I think Matt, did I cut you off before you'd said all that you wanted to say about Cucumber versus RSpec? Sorry if I did that. Did you have any other thoughts?
No, that's all. I don't have a preference. I just I would like to, you know, I would like there to be more consensus about it.
So, yeah.
I don't. It makes me uncomfortable that some people go one way and some people go the other.
Go on, Michael.
Sorry. Yeah. So I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, you know, everybody, the client's not going to look at them, right? The cukes."
That's the DHH. His like.
That's the criticism of them, right?
Criticism is in this fairyland where, I mean, of course, from my point of view, it's completely irrelevant. The Cucumber for me is written like, for me in 2 weeks' time when I come back and I want to read about what was the intention behind this, or what have you. And I find it really useful in that regard. And I find it, although I love RSpec, I find it's more cognitive effort to extract that information, like the high level flow of things from acceptance tests written in RSpec.
Right. That's kind of the point that people say, "Oh, the Cucumber, you know, business users or clients won't read it. Right. So why do it? Why not just write everything in RSpec, which is quote unquote friendly language, because we're all coders here."
Right.
But the idea, as you said, is that it's supposed to reveal the intentions better,
right?
The domain better, to put more of a natural language to what you're actually doing with the app, so that you know, even if you're a developer, even if you're like a hardcore coder, it still helps to actually have a high level view of what you're actually trying to do.
Yeah, and
not have to try to extract that from the tea leaves of the code itself,
or the RSpec.
Even if you can do that,
yeah,
why put yourself through that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think the example of where I found it particularly helpful is when you and I were doing very complex stuff with time zones in Website 1, is just like having an English written description of the user does this and does this and does this and does this, compared to what we would have if it was in RSpec, where it would be written in Capybara of like visit this thing and then do this and whatever. I found that super helpful, just for even within the context of us working over several hours on the same feature, having the English language written thing much more helpful for me. Yeah. But I think it's gonna depend upon the individual, what they prefer, and maybe some people will just find themselves more comfortable in RSpec. I also, it's interesting what Matt said about moving from one tool to the other, and I think that is also something that's potentially quite challenging. Although in the RSpec book, I was just, to the example in the new RSpec book, does this work through of acceptance test, and then which is failing, and then unit test, unit test, unit test, unit test. And the funny thing is like you've got this sort of these failing acceptance tests with like big stack traces getting in the way of your RSpecs. And I actually quite like what I've got. I get my acceptance test set up in the Qt. That is failing, okay, but I put that to one side, and then I can work in the RSpec, and it's only integration and unit tests. And so that actually I find that clear separation works quite well for me. But I think when, to address Matt's point, when you're less comfortable with both tools, like having to switch from one to the other becomes confusing and challenging and so on. So I empathize with the situation there, Matt. All right. Well, I guess a little extra chat at the end. I've got a parent session coming up in 50 minutes. Yeah, great to see everybody, and nice to have that chat on the end of the Scrum. I'm thinking we should have an Agile Ventures conference where we can have more time dedicated to chats on these sorts of things and presentations from different folks. Anyway, see the AV Community Talk channel for more on different Agile Ventures things going on. And yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you all on Slack and in Scrums very soon.
So you're doing a premium session, or was that?
Yeah, I'm doing a premium session in 50 minutes. I'm gonna do. I guess right now I can start a hangout, but I'll do. I should be asking people if they're free for pairing, but I'm gonna do a. Oh God, what's it called? I'll try and work on the generic plans thing now. I guess are you free now, Michael?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And Sage and Anar, are you guys free for pairing and stuff now, or are you both off somewhere? I think Anar's gone. Sage off to take your kids to school, I imagine, or no? Is it?
No, it's school is out, and they spent the night with the grandparents, so that's why I'm here.
Oh, great stuff.
Yeah, so actually I am free to do stuff.
Okay. Oh, cool. Well, I should have mentioned it earlier. I think Matt. We'll do it anyway. I'll create another hangout for the website. Feel free to drop in and watch what we're doing with bits and pieces of Qt and RSpecs there if you're interested. Sage,
I may do that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna go make a cup of tea, and I'll maybe see you guys in a bit.
I was gonna say to Sage, you work a lot on your own, right, with this project. I was saying you may find it worthwhile to start a hangout. I mean,
I think actually I may do some of that today.
Just see if anyone comes in. And
yeah, when I find a single task that I can focus on for a little while, I may actually do that and just code in public.
Can help you advertise the project some too in the community. Yeah. All right. Thanks.